might be familiar with, that's found in 2 Kings in verses 1 through 7. I'll read these few verses in your hearing. But you're familiar with, in those days was Hezekiah, sick unto death. And the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amoz, came to him and said unto him, Thus said the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Then he turned his face to the wall. He told the prophet, Thank you, but you can go now. And he turned his face to the wall, and he prayed unto the Lord, saying, I beseech thee, O Lord, remember now how I have walked before thee in truth with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. And it came to pass, afore Isaiah was gone out into the middle court, that the word of the Lord came to him, saying, Turn again, go back, and tell Hezekiah, the captain of my people, Thus said the Lord, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will heal thee on the third day. Thou shalt go up into the house of the Lord, and I will add unto thy days 15 years. And I will cheer thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. And Isaiah said, Take a lump of figs. And they took and laid it on the boil, and he recovered. Why do I read these passages? Because in that moment, we turned to the Lord and we prayed. No, she did not get 15 years, but she got 10 years. She got what the Lord wanted her to have. You see, doctors don't have the final say, nor do pastors and preachers. But there are three things that I want to leave us with today from these passages and from the life of Sister Elizabeth. God is always faithful to each of us. God is faithful. He gave her 10 years more than doctors expected. We ask, why don't we? Well, Paul says in Philippians chapter 1 and verse 6, being confident of this very thing, that he who hath begun a good work in us will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. Only in eternity, listen to me now, friends of mine, will we know the impact that Sister Elizabeth had on many people over the last 10 years. Because not all doctors are believers. Not all nurses are believers. And God used her. God lived his life through her for 10 years. Perhaps to some unbelieving people who he wanted to know him in the pardon of their sins. And perhaps he prolonged her life to save life. Come on, listen to me now. Everything that happens to us is not always completely about us. Sometimes our sickness is about Jesus. Just ask Lazarus when you get into the kingdom. Ask Martha, ask Mary. This sickness is not unto death, but that somebody might believe. 5 times he says that in John chapter 11, doesn't he? Because God is in the soul-winning business. And he will use our sickness. He will use our suffering. And she was willing to allow him to have his way. You know, God works in mysterious ways. If we want to live, if we want to live for his glory, in spite of what we're going through, God will honor that, Brother Isaac. I remember you praying for your wife, weeping between the porch and the altar, you and your children. And God honored that. But see, God was looking at a much bigger picture than the one we look at. We look at what's inside the frame. God looks what's inside the hospital. He looks at what's inside the community. He looks at what's inside the family and among the friends. I was just over with the Ghanaian group just last Sabbath. And Sister Edna made mention of the fact where Sister Elizabeth sat at the end of the table and how she would be praising and celebrating God. And now if she could celebrate God in her sickness, we ought to be able to celebrate God in her rest. Because you know it's not over with. The Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel and the trump of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. You know it's not over with. Marvel not at this, he would say. All that are in Christ Jesus, he will raise in that day of reckoning when he comes. You know it's not over with. Point number 2. God treats us better than we deserve. Are you listening to me? Better than we deserve. Think for a moment. Should any of us be here now? Huh? Oh, I know we think that we get up each morning, we woke ourselves up. And that we are privileged to be alive. But except for the grace of God, none of us would be here tonight to celebrate her life and to celebrate the God who is the resurrection and the life, which is her Savior, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So we ought not to take anything for granted. You know, when I think about what God says in 1 John chapter 1 and verse 9, we confess our sins. He's faithful and just to cleanse us, to forgive us, and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. See, sometimes we need a few extra years for God to do some internal work. And God is faithful. I want to say to anybody that's here tonight as we celebrate the life of Sister Elizabeth, you don't want to miss that great getting up morning when she will be standing on that sea of glass along with all of us who are there saying, Lord, this is our God. We have waited and he has saved us. God is a God that cannot lie. If God said it, I believe it, and that settles it. It's not over with. We will see her again. Point number 3. God has promised each one of us eternal life. Yes, he has. The Gospel of John, John chapter 17, verse 3. Don't you ever forget this, family and friends. Jesus says these words, and this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. She knows Jesus. You might say, wait a minute, Pastor, she's resting. She's in the grave. No. She's resting. And she still knows Jesus in her rest. When she wake up, she will know Jesus face to face. She will see him. Just like she would hope that each one of us would. See, she finished her assignment. She's done. You and I are on assignment. Each one of us, we live for God's glory. Or we're not living at all. She lived for God's glory. We've got a reason to celebrate her tonight. She's not suffering anymore. She's completed her task. She's run her course. And God says, well done, good and faithful servant. This far and no further. See you in the morning. Because in that great day in the morning when he comes, she will see him. Jesus has promised that he is coming back. Sister Elizabeth knew him and is waiting for him to come back. Jesus is a God who cannot lie. Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead or she were dead, yet shall she live. You can take that to the bank. You can trust God and his word. And I just want to say to the family, I just want to say to all the friends, Jesus on his way to Calvary. And he said, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. Because in my Father's house are many mansions. If it was not so, Brother Isaac, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for Sister Elizabeth. And if I go to prepare a place for her, I will come again and receive her unto myself, that where I am, there she may be also. Is that the word of God? Do you claim it? Do you believe it? Then let's celebrate him. Father God, we thank you for a life well lived for 55 years in a place that's not easy to survive, called planet Earth, which is ravaged by sin, sickness, and disease. But for your glory, you allowed her to live, that others might be saved. And we thank you for being a God who loves us in sickness and in health, richness and in poor. Don't death do us part. I pray for this family now, Lord, as we celebrate and continue tonight, that every morning they will wake up praising you, celebrating the life of their mother, his wife, their sister, our friend, with great anticipation and excitement, looking forward to when we will see her again. And not only her, but all that love your appearing. So again, thank you for giving us one more reason to love you, to celebrate you through the life of Sister Elizabeth. As we celebrate her tonight, we celebrate thee also. God, thank you. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much. At this time, we call on our Sister Teresa, who used to sing with our Sister Elizabeth, to give us a rendition. Sister Teresa, give her a hand, please.
Sorry. Na nema me oko jame me be mo paye me ya nsle me ni fia me ya pese me ya se me tudo e de jame kan di tunu de je busia e de atuye ni na yero me ni twa me se